Hello, everyone. We are glad to have you with us for today's webinar, Small Business Digital Game Plan, Your Online Growth Playbook. I'm your moderator, Jenny Alton from the New York Small Business Development Center Central Office. The NYSBDC is a U.S. Small Business Administration resource partner with regional centers at higher education institutions and outreach offices at other locations across New York State. Our no-cost advising, education, research, and advocacy services are made possible by funding from the SBA, New York State, and our host campuses. I am so pleased to introduce our presenter today, Kurt Anderson, President of B2B Tail, and a former NYSBDC staff member. We are recording today. You'll get a follow-up email with a link to the recording and a PDF of the slides. Attendees are muted and will not be on camera. If you have any questions during the presentation, we have both the chat and the Q&A box. I'll be monitoring those, and we will address questions throughout Kurt's presentation today. And with that, I will now turn the time over to Kurt.
Well, hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. My name's Kurt Anderson. What an absolute honor and privilege to be here today. Guys, welcome to the New York SBDC Small Business Development Center. If you've not engaged with your SBDC, I strongly encourage you, I welcome you, I implore you to reach out to your local SBDC. We have over 20 centers statewide. There's got to be one near you somewhere. And if you have not had the pleasure of working with the SBDC, they are, believe it or not, sitting down for this, they are free. Their services are completely free, and they are just relentlessly helping small business owners, entrepreneurs like yourself throughout the great state of New York. And so I welcome you to stop by. So thank you for taking the time to join us. Hey, I'm going to give a shout out here. So if you're familiar, one of the pioneers, one of the founders of the Small Business Development Center was a gentleman by the name of Jim King. Guy was just an absolute legend for small entrepreneur. What an advocate for entrepreneurs in the state of New York. And unfortunately, we lost Mr. King this past year. So I just want to give a shout out to Jim King and his family. And he was just such a leader for entrepreneurs and leading the charge for the Small Business Development Center. Your leader now is this fine woman here. So this is Sonia Smith in the middle. She has her safety glasses on. I had the privilege, we did a little tour of a manufacturer. She is just sleeves rolled up, working with entrepreneurs throughout the great state of New York. And again, this just really kind of shows the spirit of what goes on at the Small Business Development Centers, helping our entrepreneurs. So guys, here's a little pop quiz for you. You ready? 66% of the buying decision is made online before somebody picks up the phone and reaches out to you or drops an email. Isn't that, I don't know if that makes you excited, if that makes you scary, but the goal is with our program today, we want to help you. How can we make a better digital presence, right? I call it webpression. How do you make a great, incredible first webpression? So what we want you to think about with these dynamic solutions that you guys offer, are you representing yourselves, as fruitfully as possible on your website? How do we make that great first webpression? Let's dive in. And here's something to think about. So I'm a longtime e-commerce guy, back like 30 years ago, man, I'm a dinosaur, but e-commerce, the great thing about it, and from your social media standpoint and from your website, is how do you help that ideal buyer make a buying decision on a Friday night at midnight without having to wait for you to open up your doors on Monday morning? Think about how can you provide as much information as possible to help that ideal buyer make a buying decision on a Friday night at midnight without waiting for you to open up your doors on Monday? That's how we get that relationship started, because your first impression is with your website or through socials. So let's go here. Help me out. Again, we want to be super mindful, respectful of your time. We know we've got a million other things that you could be doing right now, but you are spending time with us. Man, we love you for that. What are some challenges that you're facing from your digital marketing standpoint, or from, anything? Is it social? Is it AI? What's keeping you up at night? Or what are some challenges, or what's something that we could help you out with? What we're going to dive into is this little thing that we've created working with our clients over the years. It's called the digital game plan. My goodness gracious. I couldn't even sleep last night. I was so excited to work with you guys today. So, okay, for our friends taking notes at home, you ready? Here's two acronyms. If there's any takeaway today, here are the two acronyms for you. Ready? You sitting down? Number one, KYS. KYS. Anybody know what that stands for? about HYS? KYS, HYS. If you can nail these two, my friend, you are going to be a digital marketing guru. You're going to crush it. KYS stands for Know Your Soulmate. You want to know your soulmate inside and out. And what do I mean? You hear like, hey, who's that buyer persona? Who's that ideal customer, right? In our workshops, our training that we do, and my little favorite, my mom's favorite book, Stop Being the Best Kept Secret, we call it, hey, who's that soulmate? Who were you put on this earth to serve, and how can you help that person? Like who, all right. So we're going to dive further. KYS, know your soulmate. Number two, help your soulmate. If you just know your soulmate inside and out, and if you help your soulmate relentlessly, unapologetically, you are going to be crushing it. Now, here's what we want to do is you want to make that great first web impression. Ready? Let's say it together. 3 words. Let's say it together. Ready? Know, like, trust. Now, for many of you, that might be I'm Captain Obvious, but boy, it's a lot. Sometimes it's harder than to hit that, right? So we want to know, like, trust. What's one of the best ways to gain that know, like, trust with your clients? I shamelessly, if I were at home, I would have a little book that I'm going to show you where I stole this. So this is not my line. How do we out teach the competition? How do we out teach the competition? My goodness gracious, I wish I would have known this 30 years ago. I strongly encourage you, I invite you, I welcome you. Jot that one down. If you can just be that unapologetic, fierce educator, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, all right, pop quiz for you guys. All right, everybody's ready to play along? Did you know that every person on the planet has one favorite radio station? Does anybody know what that radio station is? I would love to see that in the chat box. Let's play along. What is every person? They have one favorite radio station. Does anybody, any of my friends out there know this answer? You ready? WIIFM. WIIFM. You know what that stands for? What's in it for me? I think it was Zig Ziglar said, like, what does everybody think about all day, every day? Themselves, right? I'm tired, I'm hungry, my kids, my life, my job, my average stress, so on. We're thinking about our challenges all day, every day. What are your customers, what are your soulmates thinking about all day, every day? Themselves. Why do they need you? How can we provide that helpful information? Again, like out teaching the competition and let them know. So I have a little spin on words for you guys. Now, some of us are from upstate, other folks are in the city. We have different accents. I apologize for my horrific upstate accent. So you might say Wi-Fi's, some other folks might say Wi-Fi's. I call it what's in it for your soulmates. What's in it for your soulmates. So what I want to challenge us. We're accountability partners to each other. Think about when you go on your website and you go on your social, I want you to, here's a challenge for you. I want you to count how many times you have the word we or me or I on your website. If you're using the word we call it the we syndrome, right? Where it's like, hey, we do this, we do that, we won these awards, we, right? The customer is only thinking about themselves. So what I encourage you, invite you, welcome you, I'm imploring you to think about is how do we make it about them? Let's keep diving further. Anybody here suffer from the entrepreneurial curse? I've been suffering from it for 35 years. What is that entrepreneurial curse? Anybody have like the shiny object, remember Squirrel? Remember that movie Up? Squirrel, look over here, look over here, look over here, right? So if we try to be everything to everybody, right? What do we become? Nothing to no one. I am a huge, huge, huge proponent of focus on your core strengths, and we're going to dive into this right now. Focus on your core strengths, what you're absolutely best at. Why? That little tagline, the riches are in the niches. I have a line, if you are just starting out, or you've been at it for a long time, or life has changed, or whatever is happening, and maybe the marketing just isn't resonating, it's just not connecting. I know I could do better. I know there's no reason for me to be the best kept secret right now. What I encourage you to think about is like, how can we find one soulmate? How can you niche down till it hurts and like get some momentum, and then we could branch out and spread our wings a little bit? I have a little new software tool that I'm going to share this with you. And Jenny, if you can give me a yes, can you guys see my little software program here? Can you guys see that?
We can.
Awesome. All right, guys. This is the digital game plan. This is a software tool. It's an AI software tool that we've hired developers and we are building out. We used to use, well, we're kind of in transition. I built this out on like Google Sheets. And I found we've been doing this for years and we have a process and a system that we build out with our clients, with our soulmate customers. And so I'm going to take you through the whole thing, but I'm going to show you this digital game plan. Okay. So what I encourage you to do, okay, I'm going to call it a little brag party, is we call it the SO. Is anybody here familiar with the SWOT analysis? You know, the strengths, weaknesses, the opportunities, the threats. Well, guess what? When you hang out with Jenny and myself here at the Small Business Development Center, you have no weaknesses, you have no threats. We're in our happy place. We're just going to focus on your strengths and your opportunities. So what I've done here is I've run this tool. What it does, it scrapes a website and it gives me information on this website. And so, for example, for the SBDC, our friends here, if you popped in late, I encourage you, welcome you, invite you, reach out to your local SBDC. They are an incredible resource for you on your entrepreneurial journey. But take a look here. So the SBDC, 20 regional centers, 70 satellite locations, unrivaled value proposition, one-on-one advisement, decades of proven impact, research as a differentiator. Now, this tool is phenomenal. It goes out to your website and it pulls back what you're absolutely best at. What I encourage you to do is sit there and jot down like everything that you are best at. You feel like, man, there is nobody better on this planet than what we do. When you narrow down that niche, and you focus on what you're absolutely best at, and there's sometimes you're like, hey, yeah, but we do this or we do this. You're like, if there's things on your plate that you wish you didn't do, how can we be disciplined and just get that off your plate, right? Now, this middle column, what we're doing is we're talking about opportunities. Where are there opportunities for us for growth to continue blossoming our business? Okay. Now, let me jump down here. After you figure out your core strengths, this I feel tees up every other aspect for you to get on your digital marketing journey. The next thing that we do is, remember we were talking about those soulmates? What's in it for your soulmates? Well, the more that you understand and know your customer inside and out, gosh, I know their favorite sports team. I know what they had for coffee this morning. I know everything about them and how to solve their problems. Well, this tool here, what it does is it creates a buyer persona. If this is new to you, and you are if you've never done a buyer persona, I encourage you, invite you, welcome you, reach out to your local SBDC. They can help you with it. Go on Google, say, hey, I've never done a buyer persona. What is it? If you're an AI friend, go to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI tool that you're using and create a buyer persona on your customer. We just did well, we've done this ages ago, but what we did is we did a collective collage of all of our customers. And we just sat back and just like, okay, what are the common threads? What are some common challenges? What are their motivations? So what this tool does right here is like, what are their frustrations? Okay, let's take the SBDC. That you guys are the SBDC soulmate. And so what Jenny and what their team is like, okay, how can we deliver like great, valuable information that's going to help you move the needle? We want to earn your trust. We want to earn the right to do business with you. We want to earn the right to consult with you. So, think about what your business is targeting, the solution that you provide, and what are the frustrations? What are the motivations? Where are they hanging out at? And what we just did this week. We were looking at all of our customers. I'm super, super active on LinkedIn. I dropped my LinkedIn in the chat box there. I'd love to connect with you guys. Well, we're looking back, we're like, hey, you know what? This particular crowd of customers are not on LinkedIn. We're not going to connect with these folks on LinkedIn. We need to connect with them on either webinars or maybe a live stream or maybe workshops or SEO or some other aspect. So what I encourage you to think about is like, where is your soulmate hanging out? Okay. Now, I'm going to dive into this. Any baseball fans out there? I know, like, if there's any Yankees fans, Mets fans, we're kind of sitting on the sidelines right now. But if you're a baseball fan, I came up with this when I was a young guy in my 20s, and I love this exercise. We love doing it with our clients. What we try to do is we bucket our clients into bases, right? Hey, who are the singles? Who are the doubles? Who are the triples? Who are the home runs? Because my singles, I need to treat and nurture a lot differently than I do my home runs. Now, for my friends upstate, my home run when I was in my 20s was Wegmans. I don't know if you live in upstate or, maybe there's one down near you. That was like my dream customer. That was my home run customer. So I had a bunch of singles. Here are my doubles, here are my triples. How could I land Wegmans? What I encourage you guys to think about is who are your ideal customers and maybe put them in buckets and how do we approach them differently? Because we're going to dive into this next. On this tool here, anybody here familiar with the buyer's journey? Well, we like to play with words a little bit. So instead of just the buyer, we're thinking about our ideal customer. We call them a soulmate. Well, we call it the soulmate success path, right? The soulmate success path, because I relentlessly, unapologetically want our clients to thrive. We want them to succeed just like you do. And that's the whole mission of the Small Business Development Center here in New York is like how we want you guys we want to see you on the cover of Inc. magazine, Fortune magazine, just absolutely crushing it, right? So now what this tool does here and what I want to, if you're jotting down notes, and this was new to me. I wasn't like a sales guru. I was an e-commerce guy. I'm still not a sales guru. But what this tool does for us is it helps us break out that buying journey in steps and phases. Okay. So now we want to think about the awareness stage. Okay. Hey, I'm an entrepreneur and maybe I want to help. I want to get a little more aggressive on I want better accounting. I want to know more about maybe workforce or, here digital marketing, whatever it might be. I can turn to my friends at SBDC. Here's some examples. We see a competitor offering online booking and we feel behind. We need to get caught up. Now we could reach out to SBDC. We receive negative review. Anybody get a negative review on social? That doesn't feel good, right? We lose a key customer. Now we come down here, like what would we Google? Now, I might Google free small business advice in Buffalo, New York, or I might Google, I might I might ask Chat GPT, are there any business grants out there? Where could I find some? Right. So these are things that for the SBDC that their soulmate might search for. And then what the SBDC wants to do, we want to come down here. Well, how can we answer those questions? How can we get inside the mind of that ideal buyer in that stage? And how can we meet them? How can we nurture them? How can we maybe provide a video, a blog post, a social post, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it might be? Okay. Think about who your ideal customer is. Do you have one in mind? Think about the customer that like, man, they just absolutely love me. They love the business the solutions I provide. They love everything that you're doing. And how can you replicate that for other people? Okay. So we've got the awareness stage. We've got the exploration stage. We've got the evaluation stage. So now they're narrowing it down. And how do we get them to like you over the competition? And again, remember that slide I showed earlier? 66% of the buying decision is done online. Well, how can we crush your competition online by getting that information out there to help them make that buying decision, right? Then when they get to the decision phase, how can we help them? And then how can we nurture them after they've become a customer post-purchase? So again, these are the 5 stages of the buying process. So we want to walk them through each stage and how can we get that information out there, be transparent, make that great first web impression and get that information out there. Let's cover SEO quickly, okay? SEO is changing dramatically, right? It's changing. Like, as a matter of fact, whatever I say right now, like, it's going to probably change by the time we're done with lunch together here. So what we want to think about is like, if your ideal customer, okay, if you're targeting business owners, event planners, that type of thing, if you're targeting teenagers, if you're targeting folks in their 20s, again, the more that you understand where they're at, if you're targeting, I have a teenage daughter in college, if you're targeting, you're going to find her on TikTok. If you're targeting old guys like me, my daughter says, well, old people are on LinkedIn, or Facebook, Twitter, where are they hanging out at? If they're not on social media whatsoever, maybe you need to have like a really aggressive newsletter. Okay. Now, why do we need SEO? For anybody out there that's still Googling, right? It's hard to imagine Google's going to go away anytime, immediately, or soon. So what we want to do is so let me just show you an example right here. So let's do a little search. So if I do ground strap manufacturer, so this is a client of ours that we work with. We worked with for a while, and so they're a little tiny 30-person company. They've been around since 1985. They're celebrating their 40th anniversary. So what we're talking about here, like, so this is their core keyword. Okay, now I've got a little tagline for you. Their core keyword is ground strap. They are a ground strap manufacturer. Now, let's disregard what they do. Think about the solution. Remember when I asked you, how do you make the world a better place? We had that little brag party on your SO, where your strengths and opportunities. That is your keyword. Those are your keyword opportunity. That's your keyword strategy right there. What you are absolutely best at. Think about that and niche. And here's what's important. How do we speak their language, not our language, right? So now in this case, like these guys are a ground strap manufacturer. Now, if I was doing this a year ago, none of this real estate up here was on Google. This is all brand new. So this is Google's generative AI. So now you've got this image up here, you've got these things going on over here to the right. So now you've got what, like 8, 10 inches of real estate. Now everything got pushed down. So now everybody's racing. How can we get into this content right here, right? This is still, man, a holy grail opportunity. And if you have niche keywords, you can get yourself in these spots. So my client right here is called Faulkner Electronics. So you see them right here. That picture is their product. They've got this piece of real estate over here to the right. And then they're right here in the second position. So now what they're doing is exactly what we've been preaching about, right? How do we out teach the competition? How do we just put out all sorts of valuable information that our ideal customer, that soulmate, would be thinking about? So let's go back to our digital game plan. We have this thing, we call it ridiculously important keywords. What are our ridiculously important keywords? So I'm going to come back here to the example with the Small Business Development Center, right? So like no cost business advice for micro entrepreneurs. How do I attract more cleaning clients locally? Easy marketing tips for micro businesses. How to start a cleaning business in New York, like right there. Like that's a great key phrase that for folks at the Small Business Development Center, they're like, yes, we would, if you have a cleaning business and you're starting it up brand new, we would be honored to help you. That's what the Small Business Development Center is for. Here's a great line right there, right? Confidential. If you weren't familiar with this, another great thing with the SBDC, confidential, not only free, everything that you do with the SBDC, they have, it's almost like an attorney client privilege. Everything that they do is confidential. So again, encourage you guys to reach out there. But I want you thinking about, okay, what is my ideal customer typing? What would they be searching for? And how do we get you ranking on Google? Because Google is still critically important. So we've got social media, you can do newsletters, you can do videos, and we're going to dive in some other examples. Now let's go here. Now, the thing with AI that's changing dramatically is we're seeing all this information up here now is Google is looking to answer questions. Okay, so it's not just keyword strategy anymore, it's answering questions. So we have our ridiculously important keywords. I encourage you, invite you, welcome you, start jotting down a list of like, hey, what are my important keywords? What is my soulmate typing? What problem do they have right now today? Secondly, what's a question that they would be asking? Okay, why am I struggling to attract new clients for my cleaning business in Buffalo? How do I find local support for single parent entrepreneurs? What causes small service businesses to run into cash flow problems? So these are all questions that a soulmate, client of the New York Small Business Development Center would potentially ask. The more that you can dive into these questions and the more that you can relentlessly answer these questions, that's how you're going to get found on search. That's the name of the game for SEO, for search engine optimization. Let's dive down here. So now what this tool does, it spits out some ideas of like what's potential content that we could put out there that would help answer our ideal customers, those soulmate questions, okay? So for example, in December, grant opportunities for small businesses in New York, your fast track to funding. Man, who doesn't want some grant opportunities or funding as a small business owner or an entrepreneur, right? So that's great information. The New York Small Business Success Playbook, your guide to free consulting that works. Drop the mic right there. So this is great content. So now what you can do, and this is what I encourage you to think about. How could we get content? Even if you're a solopreneur, I'm a solopreneur right there. I have a small little team of subcontractors that I work with, but I'm right there for any of our solopreneur friends out there. I'm right there with you. I'm working, I'm locked in arms with you. So what this tool does, it plays a little bit of a marketing assistant on like, hey, how could, what questions do my soulmates have? What content could I put out that would meet my soulmate where they're at? So like right here, why am I struggling to attract new clients in Buffalo? How can we answer this? How about a step-by-step guide to booking your first SBD session? How confidential business advising helps micro businesses thrive, right? So this is the type of information that you would want to consider putting out for your business. And I'm going to dive into another example for you guys. Okay. So let's go here. Remember I was talking about that collage? So I encourage you, invite you, welcome you. If sometimes I think for myself, I'll speak for myself. I want to say I take for granted, but like, I know my customers. I know them inside and out. But when I do this and I put all these companies on the screen here and I can just look at them a little bit differently and get a different perspective, I'm like, okay, well, that person needed that. That person had this challenge. This and what you're looking at, these were all my singles. So I did a collage like this with all my singles. I did all my doubles, my triples, and my home runs. And I'm like, okay, my singles, they have completely different challenges than my home runs and my triples. So I want to focus on like, what can I do to help my singles? Well, what information do they need? Because like they're more an early stage entrepreneur. They're more just starting out. They don't necessarily have the budget or the challenges, the problems or frustrations that say a company that's doing like $5 or $10 million. Like they're just trying to get to a couple $100,000, right? So the more that I dive in and understand this, the more that I can help that ideal customer. Let me give you another example. So I didn't see, did we have any food folks? Anybody, any restaurants, anybody in the food business out there? And if you are, drop me a note. But I have a fun example to show you guys. So if any of our friends from Buffalo, anybody from Buffalo out there? So if you're from Buffalo, if you're from western part of New York, you guess what? There's one food that you have to eat when you live in western New York, or if you're in the Buffalo area. Everybody know what that is? Chicken wings, right? So if you live in Buffalo, can't live in Buffalo without chicken wings. So what I did is the company, the business that founded the chicken wing is called the Anchor Bar. So just since we're having lunchtime together, and I thought just if you haven't had lunch, I apologize for talking about food, but I just thought I'd give you another example here of a company, of a restaurant, somebody in retail, of what the digital game plan might look like in each step of the way. So here for this particular place, it's called Anchor Bar. And this, if you're anywhere if you're within 60 miles of Buffalo, or you're popping in Buffalo, or you're on your way to Niagara Falls, you have to stop by the Anchor Bar, get the original chicken wing. It's a great place. And so again, if we go down the strengths and opportunities right here, the originator of chicken wings, iconic brand heritage, expansive multi-state presence, comprehensive online ordering. So again, it's going through all the benefits. I'm going to ask you guys a question. I'm going to ask you guys a favor. Can you think of your customers in like buckets? Can you think of like who my singles are, who my doubles, my triples, my home runs? Have you guys, does that make sense to you guys? Like, hey, this customer, they buy like maybe once a quarter, once every 6 months or holiday time. Like those are my singles. My doubles, my goodness, they pop in every month and they're buying from me on a regular, consistent basis. I love my doubles. The triples, like maybe there's a triple, maybe there's a wholesale opportunity or a resale opportunity, or maybe somebody is like bringing me 10 of my soulmate customers, right? Then the home run is like, oh my goodness gracious, like we went on Amazon, or we found an online marketplace, or we found like the one place that we were just really eager, hungry, pun intended, Jenny, hungry to, hit that home run with. So what I want you to think about is like putting those customers in buckets. Okay. Now I did it here. Look at this. The Buffalo Bills, Jenny. How about that? The Buffalo Bills are a single. I would call them a home run, but they've got different grocery stores here. They've got universities. Buffalo River Works. So, other places that they can partner or align with. And then they've got here, like, hey, who's a triple? Here's Buffalo State College. Here's Big Ditch Brewing. That's a great place if you're ever in Buffalo. And then home runs, the Food Network, Delta Airlines, Amazon. How do you punch above your weight? Who's that one particular client that is just like, oh my goodness, I couldn't imagine if I ever sold to these folks, and what would it take for you to get on their radar? What would it take for you to open up a door to these folks? Okay. Once again, what we did with this restaurant was we created that buyer persona. Okay. So one thing that I want to point out over here on the buyer persona is the communication. And I mentioned it before, and I just want to emphasize this again. When we came back here, when I started diving into our customers and like really stepping back and looking at them, I'm like, I'm not going to connect with future soulmates of this, with this screen right here on LinkedIn. Like these folks just, they're not on LinkedIn. That's not where they're hanging out at. I might connect with them more so on Instagram or again, like here on a webinar. So what I want you to do is like think about deep. I just can't emphasize this enough. That communication place. Okay. Now, if you're doing more in the B2B place, I think like if you're targeting more like, high level professionals, LinkedIn is a great place to be connecting. And so the more that you dive in and you do this buyer persona, that's going to help you hit that hit that mark. Okay. All right. I've got a couple more hacks that I want to show you guys. Okay. Let's go here. We talked about how do you make that great first web impression, okay? A couple clients that we're working with, again, like we're primarily working with like B2B, industrial companies, that type of thing. But I'm telling you, video is just a great thing to do. With this gentleman here, he's a CNC shop, does amazing, incredible work. And so he's got this wonderful video right here. This client right here, they're in Chicago. They do incredible, amazing work. And you come down here, they've got this great killer video. I'm telling you, it's just absolutely fantastic. It's got a great music to it. And then on top of it, what both of these companies are doing, they are aggressively blogging and putting a ton of content out. Now, the content that they're putting out, it's targeting their ideal customer. Okay. So if I go here, I'm going to go down here, I'm going to go to their blog. So you take a look at all this blog. Now, what they're doing is they're focusing on their ideal buyer. They're focusing on that buyer journey, that soulmate success path that we've talked about. They're using their RICs, right? Ridiculously important keywords. And then what they're trying to do is answer those ridiculously important questions of their soulmate. So what I want to encourage you guys to think about is, man, how can we put out a bunch of content? Now, the key word that these folks are going after, again, not about them, it's all about you. But what they're doing here is understanding power pedestals. Bam, right there. That's their RIC. That's their ridiculously important keyword is power pedestals. So they're using power pedestals over and over and over. But with every deliverable here, they're trying to provide information content that would speak to their soulmate. Now, what they're doing, they're selling to like say the Ritz or a beautiful golf course or a high-end hotel. And what they're doing is these are power pedestals that will go out like in a golf course that are outlets, right? And they're wonderful. They're made in USA, very well built, that type of thing. And so, and here, as a matter of fact, there's a picture of it right there. Great tool, heavy duty industrial steel. So they want to stop being the best kept secret and get all that information out there. Okay. So now this gentleman here, let's go here. So this gentleman here, like he's blogging. Okay. And so again, and this is all brand new for him. And he's immediately starting to see some rankings on keywords. We went back here. We were talking about search. How do we come up in this real estate right here? By putting that content out there, by putting those blog posts out there, that's helping these folks stop being the best kept secret. It's helping them to help their ideal customer make that buying decision on a Friday night at midnight. And it's helping them get found on search. Okay. So those are a few little hacks, little traits that I wanted to show you just to take advantage of. Okay. Now, the next thing, video. I could not encourage you enough to do video. I'm going to shamelessly show you a couple examples. So like, hey, we practice what we preach. Like we try to do we do digital marketing for primarily for manufacturers. Everything that we preach and teach, like we're doing ourselves, right? So for example, this is kind of a funny one. So if you do SEO for Illinois manufacturers, okay? SEO for Illinois manufacturers. Now I'm located in New York. Now, if somebody does SEO, I do a lot of business in Chicago and Illinois, and you scroll down here and hey, do you guys recognize your favorite bald guy anywhere? Do you see that goofy guy right there? You see, hey, there's a bald head right there. Do you see that bald guy right there? And then here's our website right there in the #1 position. Now, this is kind of funny. So you go over here, if you go videos, like, hey, there's your favorite bald guy. There's your favorite bald guy. There he is. There he is. Oh, here he is again. Here he is again. That's not him. Here he is. Here he is. So what we kind of did this as an experiment, but what we did is we're shamelessly going after this tagline SEO for Illinois manufacturers. Now, the funny thing is, if you go to my website, I have, do I have my website? Let's see if I have my website up here. I'll go to my website for you guys real quick. So I have tons of testimonials. So here's another hack for you guys to take advantage of with video. So go here. So all these are testimonials from our clients. So I have a client on here saying, and I'm on site with her. I'm at her location, and she says, "Well, Kurt, I found you by Googling SEO for Illinois manufacturers." So even if like, well, gee, that's a pretty niche keyword, but you know what? It's a great keyword for us because if it's a manufacturer in Illinois or in Chicago and they were to Google that, well, gosh, we're all over the place. And that's what we're trying to earn, that know, like, and trust that we talked about earlier, right? So this is just an example. And then like here, if you do like SEO for manufacturers, if you go over to video, like here we are here, here we are here, here we are here. And so we've got a bunch of them. So we're trying to do the same thing. Now what we're doing an experiment where we're going after AI marketing for manufacturers. And so we're really super bullish on video. So like this is us here, this is us down here. Let's see, here we are, right there. Hey, there he is. And so that type of thing. So video does multiple things for you. What it does is Google has changed their search, and we're seeing this generative AI here at the top. Now, what they're also doing is they're populating videos in a lot of your search. So let me come back here. I'm going to pull things together. When you know your core strength, you know what you're absolute best at, how you're making the world a better place, and you start putting out that content, that information, those videos for your ideal customer, for your soulmate, and you focus on, like right here, guys, remember the RICs, ridiculously important keywords. You take your RICs and we want to get them in those video headlines over and over and over. So see what we're doing here? SEO success for Illinois manufacturer, SEO success for Illinois manufacturer, SEO for manufacturers, digital transformation strategies for manufacturers, manufacturing marketing. So like we're doing that over and over and over, and we're kind of raising our hand to Google and say, hey, Google, we're not trying to be, we're not SEO for everybody. We're not SEO gurus for, I don't know, for different industries or that type of thing. Like we're laser focused, hyper focused on this particular field. And so like we want to try to own that particular page, that particular search result. So I encourage you, invite you to think about similar type of thing. Now, when you do video, here's why I'm so bullish. I do what's called like a LinkedIn live show. Well, it's not what it's called. It's a LinkedIn live show. So you come here. And so like, here's, here we interview all sorts of amazing people. So we interviewed this gentleman, what's today? Wednesday. We interviewed this gentleman Wednesday. He's a high level expert. And so what we do is we're just doing it's like a podcast thing that we do. So we interview this gentleman. Now what we're doing is we take this information, and then what we're doing is we take the transcription of that conversation. So now look at all this content from this whole conversation. So here we've got a video. So now I can do one 30-minute interview with somebody, and you get a subject matter expert talking about that particular topic. What are the questions that your soulmate has? What are those ridiculously important questions? Think about what are those ridiculously important keywords, and you just do an interview or a conversation. And now what you can do with AI tools is you can get the full transcription. Now, if I want, I could take this full transcription, I could drop it into AI, or I could drop it into ChatGPT and say, hey, Chat, could you give me a great killer blog post about this conversation? My dear friend Ron was a Navy veteran. God bless him. He flew fighter jets. Like if you ever saw Top Gun, like he was flying those fighter jets back in the 90s, and just a wonderful human being. So now if I want to convert that into a blog post, now you come back here, you go to our blogs. So we've got these videos, but guess what? We also have all sorts of blogs here. Now, all these blogs are all content and information and trying to answer questions that we feel that our ideal customer, that soulmate would be potentially asking, okay? So anyway, I'm throwing a ton at you guys. I'm gonna start winding down because I know we're coming into time. I could keep you all day. I'm having such a good time. Last thing again is think about that content calendar, what information you could put out. And I have one last thing, Jenny. I have one last thing I'm going to share with you guys. We talked about the soulmate. We talked about like niching down. We talked about being hyper focused on what you're best at, focus on your core strengths, right? The last thing that I want to share with you is who is the person on this planet that would, I equate it to like a lamp, okay? Who could open up the door to like multiple relationships? Who could be a collaboration partner to you. Okay. What this tool does is we call it the Soulmate 100. Say you're a manufacturer and you're like an ideal client for me, right? Well, it'd be really difficult for me to find you individually. So who's a Soulmate 100 for me? My dear friend Jenny and the friends at Small Business Development Center, because now what they've done is they've pulled in everybody. What do we got? 28 people on the call. They've pulled in 28 people into this webinar. I just love doing this. I'm very passionate about helping entrepreneurs. I used to be an SBDC advisor. I'm just rooting each and every single one of you on more than you can imagine. So think about like, who's the one to many relationship that could open up the door to many soulmates of yours, right? So my lamp analogy is if we were manufacturing, let's say we were all manufacturing lamps together, okay? If we're manufacturing lamps, well, hey, who's the lampshade manufacturer? Who's the light bulb manufacturer? Who's the nightstand manufacturer? Who's the bed covering? Think about everything in that room we're not competitors, but how could we try to do business together, right? If you're in the mortgage business and insurance, right? If we're, maybe he wants to connect with like, well, hey, if I'm in the insurance business and I'm doing homeowners insurance, I want to know the real estate agent. I want to know the pool person. I want to know the landscaper. I want to know the lawn repair, snow shovel, mortgage broker. You get the idea. Like, how can we surround ourselves with every ideal collaboration relationship that you can think about? So, and for example, here I have the Anchor Bar, this amazing, wonderful chicken wing restaurant that all of you guys are going to hit sometime. What this list does is it lists out a bunch of food influencers or bloggers that would open up the door for more people to be aware of this wonderful restaurant. So again, that's my last takeaway for you guys is I want you to think about like who would be some referral partner, collaboration partners for you that you could think about. So Jenny, I think with that, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to start winding down and I'm going to close out with this, guys. Two things. Out teach the competition. Just come in relentlessly, out teaching the competition. And remember this, a goal without a plan is just a wish. I thank every one of you from the bottom of my heart for being here today. I wish each and every one of you massive, massive success. And again, reach out to the Small Business Development Center. There's a center right near you. Every borough has one. There's 3 in Manhattan. They're all over upstate New York. So reach out to the SBDC. Their services are free, completely confidential. And if you want to, I dropped in my LinkedIn. Stop by my website. You can get a free download, no strings attached. We're rolling out this brand new tool, and I'm in demo stage. So I'm not selling anything or selling any services. If you guys are interested, if you want a demo on this digital game plan that we're rolling out completely free of charge, no obligation. I would love to connect with you or learn more about your business. You're helping me because like I'm trying to put more reps to get this new software tool off the ground. But if you guys want to have a conversation further, I'd be more than happy to talk to you guys. As a matter of fact, I have a calendar where you can schedule an appointment right on my website. So love to hear from you guys. And we're here for you. Please reach out to your local SBDC, as Jenny said.
I think there are so many fantastic ideas that you have presented today. And so I wanted to drop our information into the chat again, which I did just a moment ago. If you heard something today that you are like, hey, that's a fantastic idea, I want to implement that in my business, and you want some support in doing that, get in touch with your SBDC. These are the kind of projects that our advisors love to work on, and we help businesses at all phases. And with that, we will wish everyone a fantastic rest of your day and say bye for now.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Thank you, guys.
Thanks again, Kurt. Bye-bye.